I think whatever region of the world you live in, whatever activities your family enjoys, whether it's something as simple as cooking, or hunting or fishing or crafts, arts and crafts, whatever it is, you want to pass your knowledge down to the next generation in your family. Hey John, you hear that moaning? Why do you do this with all your hair?
I can cut your hair whenever you'd like. Your hair's longer than mine now.
You hear that?
Yeah.
It's a sea buoy. And when it rises up and down, it's got a foghorn on it. We dumped my dad's ashes in that sea buoy.
I love surfing. It just kind of brings the best out of me. A lot of surfers are pretty, we all say, I think we're selfish. We're always itching to get out there and get our waves. And when it happens, we drop what we're doing and we get on it. And I try to find that balance in myself of, it's something I love to do. It's something I don't need to do every day, but it's something that just in my heart that it just, even if I get my hair wet for 30 minutes, it just makes my day. So just being in the ocean is kind of puts me in a good place for the rest of the day for everybody that comes across me. So
my best day surfing, as of recently, was down in Puerto Rico last month. The wilderness got a really big swell and we weren't ready for it. We thought it was going to be a lot smaller, and then we got out there and it was pretty big. And it was just cool being scared of waves again, and just because that's why I like to do it. I just want to go fast and kind of scare myself, and I was able to do that day, so it was cool.
When I go out in the water and I'm catching a really amazing wave and I'm paddling back out, I'm full of this excitement and just stoked that I even have this moment to be able to enjoy the waves that I'm able to catch.
My best day surfing would have to be with my kids. I have 3 kids. Right now they're 29, 23, this one's about to be 23, and 6, and all 3 of them surf, and I've taught all 3 of them how to surf, and they all started when they were really young. Like my daughter Samantha, I started her when she was a year and a half.
The way I would describe surfing to someone that doesn't know what it is I would say I take a big piece of plastic out into the ocean and I stand up on it and ride the waves. My family is from Minnesota, and my family from my mother's side is from Minnesota, and most of them have never seen the ocean. Most of them have never gone outside of Minnesota. So their expectation of surfing is that I am going out into the middle of the ocean and surrounding myself with sharks, and it's just this super crazy sport that is just outlandish and scary, and it's not like that at all. Surfing is, when I explain it to my family, it's more of just that relaxing and calming and spiritual experience where you get to be out in nature. And I forgot the question.
She's made 5 or 6 finals, and she's won it 3 times. I've made 16 or 17 finals, and I've never won it once. But I want it so bad, and have for 44 years, just dreamed of having this championship, which is the karma of it is that's probably what's holding me back, whereas she could take it or leave it.
Competitive surfing can be very subjective. There's a lot of different variations of what they judge based on.
Past good decade, there's been a lot of drive and a lot of good money in competitive surfing for surfers and younger kids and sponsorships, but it's like a different outlook sometimes. Sometimes you get away from what you're really doing for it because you're so driven to try to get your scores in contests or just keep the sponsorships and keep your sponsors happy. Where free surfing, it's like you just get to be who you are sometimes.
Sometimes it's great, obviously, to win. Everyone likes to win, but then it also takes the purest part of surfing away sometimes, which is just being in the ocean and being able to be in nature and be calm and be able to breathe, and it's almost therapeutic to free surf. I think of it a lot as therapy, because if I'm having a bad day or just not in the right headspace, I can go out and go surfing and have some time where even if I'm not by myself, I feel like I'm getting the time that I need to breathe and calm down and just get in a different headspace and get in the zone of surfing. I guess is the only way I can explain it. It's just a feeling where you don't have to worry about anything else. And when you are competitive surfing, it's kind of the opposite. You have to worry about everyone else around you.
I think some of the differences between free surfing and competitive surfing is that you're more free when you're free surfing. You're able to travel and surf at all your favorite breaks around the world, and you don't have to have that mindset of getting up and getting focused and conditioning, eating well. With free surfing, you can just go on a trip with your friends, catch some waves, explore new breaks, explore new cultures, and have more of an enjoyable experience.
Well, yeah, it's again, the competitive side of surfing can, get a bit obsessive in the sense that it's nice to get away from competitive surfing because it can be stressful, but yet I often find myself when I'm free surfing working and practicing on maneuvers that would help me compete better at a contest. And so it's really, when you're a competitive surfer and you surf contests regularly, it's a hard thing to shake from a mindset perspective. Over the years, I've been very close. I've had a number of runner-ups. I've finished second 5 or 6 times. I've finished third 5 or 6 times. I've finished fourth a couple of times. And it's been very frustrating because surfers that I beat very easily in the preliminary rounds, just for whatever reason, the waves didn't come my way, or the waves were terrible, or I surfed bad, but for whatever reason, I would just always choke, or bad circumstances would prevent me from winning it against people that I'm a noticeably better surfer than.
We found out that the girl who was a professional surfer said that there was no way that she lost, so she was telling the judges they needed to rewatch it and rejudge it, so they did. And so I was so embarrassed. I was trying not to cry because I didn't want to have to tell my mom and my family from Minnesota that I'd actually lost instead. But they kept it, like they didn't see any other of her waves, but I was really terrified because I didn't want to have to tell my family that I was actually not a winner because they had already posted it on Facebook and stuff.
Relationship-wise, surfing has been a challenge. My fiance now, Stephanie Gray, is very supportive of my surfing, and we've been together for a few years, but earlier on in my life, I had relationships where the person in my life wasn't so supportive of surfing, and it was a struggle. And I literally have had conversations in the past where it's like when I've met somebody that I liked, I've said, look, now, I mean, you might think it's cute, but I'm a surfer, and don't be making a bunch of plans for me, because if there's waves, I'm not going to be going to some couple's baby shower. I'm going surfing, And if you're not a surfer and you're in a relationship with a surfer, it can sometimes be a struggle. And so the one thing that I've gotten good at as I've gotten older being a surfer is how to navigate my life outside of surfing, because it hasn't always been an easy thing to balance.
It's hard to distinguish what's a memory and what's a picture. I do remember my first surf competition and my dad being super excited, and I remember I was 7 and he had me in the push-in division, and they don't even judge it or anything, but yeah, he was out there with me pushing me into the waves, and I remember I did a switch foot or something, and I could have put the stars in the sky. He was so excited and so proud of me.
I hope that, Liam maybe wins the East Coast Championship one day if he wants it. If he wants it, great. I'm not gonna impose it on him. I'm gonna impose him learning how to surf. He hasn't, which he's already learned how to surf. But in my family, you have no choice whether you want to be in the ocean or not. But he has a choice whether he wants to compete at a high level or not. So hopefully,
I hope you win before he does.
God, I do too. I'll be like some geriatric out there, like in my 90s, still trying to win.
Till everyone else dies.
Well, winning a women's championship's pretty easy.
Yeah,
so
see,
it's going to be harder.
That's the sexism right there.
How is that sexist? I'm kidding. I say that in jest.
I mean, that's easy to say when you've never won an East Coast championship.
I'll get there.
It's
you
easier.
Just wait.
Yeah, it's easier than winning.
Well, if
the
you would help me,
you've
see,
never
look,
won.
here's the thing. Let me explain this. When Samantha has a heat, I'm like waxing her board and getting her leash ready and talking her through it.
I'll try to wax my own board and he'll take it from me.
What's
He's
your
like,
game
no, you're
plan?
doing
Where are
it
you
wrong.
going to sit? Are you surfing the left? Are you surfing the right? You've got 20 minutes. You need to get a wave every 5 minutes. I'm like coaching her and helping her get her mindset. When it's my turn to surf, she's down the beach, yucking it up with her buddies, not even remotely even helping me.
That's not true. I'm
And
there
maybe-
on the beach
maybe-
with the camera. You're
Negative.
like, catch every one of
Negative.
my waves.
Maybe by the end of the heat, she strolls up. Oh my dad's surfing. Oh well.
The second time I won was that same day, because the first time I won was shortboard, and then I had the longboard championships that same day. And I remember my dad and I were out during the same time. They were double beaching, which means they were holding 2 heats at the same time. And I had already won, and I had never really thought I was ever going to win or really cared about winning. So I already felt bad that I'd won, and I knew my dad had always wanted to win for so many years. So when we were out at the same time, I remember just being outside and praying, even though I'm not very religious. I remember praying, I was like, please just let my dad win. Please don't let me win without letting him win. And then I won again, and my dad didn't win, so I felt extra bad. But he was really happy for me.
When you have kids, and obviously you're gonna name your firstborn son after me, of course. But
I'm having all girls.
well, you can have a girl named Craig.
Oh yeah, that'd
Can't
be
you?
beautiful.
So, are you going to raise your kids in the ocean like I raised you in the ocean?
Yeah, of course. I want to
Absolutely.
live at the ocean, around the beach forever. I think my favorite memory of surfing is probably about 8 or 10 years ago, maybe. It was a day where we had a bit of a swell from a hurricane, but the sun was out all day and the waves were head high, a little overhead, and me and all of my friends that lived on the beach went out surfing before breakfast, and then we were out for hours and only came in to eat, and then we went back out for hours and then came in to eat. Like, we were just surfing all day long because the waves were perfect all day. And I think I'll remember that forever, because I think surfing alone is such a beautiful, spiritual, special connection that you have with yourself and with the ocean. But when you get to experience that with people that you love and care about, it's even deeper and even more special.
Surfing, like we have covered, is something that's not only life-saving for other people, but it can be life-saving for you. And so you have the stoke of enjoying literally the coolest sport in the world, but a sport that also saves lives. And I've passed it on to all 3 of my kids. I started with Taylor, who's almost 30 years old now, and she started surfing when she was 6, and she's a very talented surfer. And if she lived here, she would most certainly be probably surfing competitively. And of course, Samantha was next, and now Liam, who is 6 years old, is the last one, and like Taylor has 3 kids. I realize I look like there's no way I could have 3 grandkids, but I have 3 grandkids. What?
And you like to talk about that to people when I'm next to you, and then they assume that I have 3 kids.
I know, it's pretty hilarious. But anyway, so another dream that I have, and one of the very first questions you asked me days ago was what was one of the best days I've ever had surfing, and I talked about teaching my kids how to surf, and how incredible that was. Well, I look forward to the day that I can surf with my grandkids and my kids, all of us in the water all at once. I think would be just a pretty remarkable day.